Welcome back, you guys. So, can you use a wet sponge to sand drywall versus just sanding drywall the old-fashioned dusty way? The way that works, the way we all know. I get this question so much in the comments, and instead of just blowing you guys off and being like, it doesn't work, it's stupid, no pros do it, why don't we actually try it, paint it, and see the results? So, from here under is all gonna be behind like some shelves. So I don't mind trying to do this there. And up here, we'll do the regular sanding. When I say regular sanding, I mean, I have one of these beauties. But real quick, before we get to this, my daughter is actually filming again. She did a good job. People liked her work. And she even got a super thanks that said, here, this is for your daughter. So we better pay up. This is for you.
Mine now.
Yeah, normally I would just use, or I should say in the past I used a pole sander, but we're gonna use this. We'll get this top half sanded and then I'll do the bottom half with the sponge. Okay, well that's that. It was pretty quick and easy, and all I have to do is some detail work, which I'll do once I get the light on. But first, I am now gonna get this thing out. And I wanted to just do this with like one of these regular sponges that I use for, you know, grout, but I knew that somebody would be like, grout, cars, yeah. And I knew that somebody would be like, Ben, it didn't work because it's not a drywall sanding sponge. So I actually bought one. This is laminated drywall sanding sponge, sands and cleans drywall. It's got an abrasive side that sands drywall. It's got a center layer that acts as a spine to keep it more rigid. And it's super absorbent sponge, cleans and wipes surfaces. So this should be interesting. Anyways, still have that bucket of water that's got a little bit of that fresh Dawn scent in here from when we did the soap in the mud video. Okay, everything here down with the sponge. I mean, how does this even work? It's pretty smooth, so it doesn't need too much. Oh man. Oh, that's so bad. That is so horrific already. It's like, oh. This sucks. Like instantly when I tried this the first time, I knew that like this was not gonna leave a good finish. This side's way too rough and it's scratching the crap out of it. Oh, this is horrible. And you know what's funny is on the package it says for contractors, but like no, for gullible noobs, not for contractors. This doesn't sand drywall.
It scratches it.
It scratches the crap out of it. I'm so glad this is getting covered. And like, I mean, just to even get it to work, you have to try and saturate the drywall, I think, like the mud. I think like, if you did big, huge, lumpy, horrible work, maybe you could like wipe down the lumps. But no, this is like, the only way this would even be remotely acceptable is if you were gonna do like a really heavy texture over top of this, which I think in a lot of cases that is what some people do. You know, like I could see this working in that case only, but like to do this over your actual finish coat of mud, like this is making me angry. I'm super unhappy about this. I mean, there's no way for me to make this good. Like, it's just not possible. Like, I'm mad right now. I don't like doing this because I know it sucks. Oh man. All right, forget this. We've got a section that we can see what it's gonna look like after paint. Like the funny thing is the work was so smooth that I only needed to sand off a few lift-offs, but as soon as I started trying to take the lift-offs down, I just scratched the crap out of everything. So there's no way, and the difference in like wetness here, there, and everywhere, there's no way for me to get a uniform surface texture. Like this would need popcorn ceiling texture to hide this. That would be the only thing that could even be remotely acceptable. No, this sucks. Sorry, but like my first impressions when I tried this, yeah, no, just no. All right, I'm gonna try and do one uniform pass with this part over everything, but I'm done here. This is just making me too angry. And I can totally hear people in the comments being like, Ben, you're just doing it all wrong. You suck, I've been doing it for 20 years. I bet you have. Anyways, I'm gonna get out my regular sponge sander now and take care of the small details here. We'll paint it, and then I'll be happy, and then I'll build some cabinets here and hide this, and I'll never have to look at it again. Okay, I gotta put my mask on. Okay, time to sponge sand. You shouldn't be so close. Or to me. I think I got the black lung, Pop. Okay, all right, it's time to paint. Okay, and now we gotta get this fan on this dumb wet spot I made so I can paint. Oh, hi. It's taking forever to dry too. It like soaked up more water than I thought it would. This is super annoying because like normally I'd be ready to paint this now, but I'm waiting for this silly thing to dry. This super sucks, you guys. I can't believe I'm having to get a heat gun out for a finished patch. Okay, that's gonna be good enough. I just didn't want to be in the position where somebody was like, well, how do we know it sucks? You didn't wait for it to be totally dry. Yeah, so I did my best. You know, I can feel like there's a huge lump right here where it wiped away all my top coat and left the bottom coat, so it just like lumps up. There's all kinds of stuff. Basically, let's paint it and we'll look at it with a light in a bit. Okay, so this here is just drywall primer. It's not like sealer or anything super fancy. Just your regular old drywall primer. I'm just gonna mash a quick coat on. I can't even see it. I got too much light and it's like the exact same color as the drywall mud. That's okay, you guys. The point is, I'm painting it. I guess we don't need to watch me paint the whole thing either. All right, all painted and dry. Under the current lighting conditions, it looks fine. No problem. But you know what? It would have looked fine if I hadn't even sanded it and had just painted it under these conditions. So let's cast the light down this wall and really take a look and see what it looks like where I did just my normal work. And to be honest, this was rushed work. Like I sanded, sanding sponge, no major light or anything. I just like kind of went by habit and feel instead of actually inspecting it. Okay, so here's a little evidence of my rushed work. Had I had a light on there, I would have seen that and sanded it out. We got lots of little crusties from rolling over the boxes. No big deal, like not the end of the world. But generally, you know, it's pretty smooth. I mean, it's definitely passable for a spot that's going to be a workbench and is just going to get abused anyways. Over sanded just a tiny bit there. And we can see the paint is making the tape show a little bit. It's doing that weird thing like when I mentioned in a past video about not watching your paint dry. But aside from all the crunchies, which are going to sand out before I do my first coat of finish paint, looks fine, right? This is all totally acceptable for a first coat of primer. You guys, I just shone the light down there and like it's worse than I thought. So as we can see, I got a glancing light raking across here. We'll let it adjust, and yeah, it is absolutely atrocious. Like unacceptable by any standard. I mean, in all honesty, it's not even good enough for texture. Like a really heavy hand applied texture could solve this, or popcorn texture, but like, are you for serious? Yeah, drywall sponge, wet sanding. Wet sanding for professionals, not professional. And it was making me so mad because like I could tell that the instant I started using it, I was wrecking my work. Even though I knew that I was gonna hide this and it was gonna be fine, like it was so frustrating to just know that like the instant I started doing this, it was getting worse and I could not fix it. So yeah, anyone that says that wet sanding drywall is actually an acceptable method, I'm sorry, but like, really? No, thank you. So I'm sure now you can see why I think the idea of using a wet sponge to sand drywall is an absolute joke. I tried this once in the very beginning of my career. It was horrible. And I thought, well, there's no need to ever try that again. Like, what are we trying to avoid here? A little bit of dust? You know, there's ways to avoid dust. There's like cheap vacuum sanders, put some drop sheets or some poly up. Like there's a lot of methods to avoid a little bit of dust. So unless you want to have an absolutely garbage finish, you know, figure out how to protect your home from dust and then sand away and make it nice. I've got lots of videos on how to actually properly, professionally sand drywall on this channel. Yeah, who knows? Maybe there's some video of some rad dude who's like amazing with a wet sponge on their spackle, but this ain't the guy. I'm sure there's tons of helpful people in the comments as well that are probably telling me how to do it. But no, honestly, the only way I could see this working at all is if you did like a lumpy, horrible patch on a wall with all sorts of ridges and liftoffs, and it's already on a textured surface, and then you just kind of mash it flat with this thing and spray a heavy texture over it. I think you'll still end up seeing it. It's still not going to be as good as if you actually sanded the patch and did it all properly. The delay with making the whole thing wet and then having to wait for it to dry again, totally unacceptable and unprofessional. Like, yeah, this is just something for gullible homeowners and weekend warriors. Like, I'm sorry, totally unprofessional. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? I'm sure you already have, but yeah. Thanks for watching Vancouver Carpenter. You'll never see me do this again. Maybe. Okay, till the next one, you guys. Hope your project's going well, but I hope you're doing even better.